Hello. If I'm live, please say something in the chat so that way I know it's there. My name is Kat Abou-Ghazaleh. I'm running for Congress in the 9th District of Illinois, and today is virtual office hours. Every week, we try to have office hours throughout the district, both at our office and at local businesses around, the 9th District and everywhere we can. But we also know that people can't always come in person, and so that's why we do virtual office hours. And if you want to sign up to be in office hours today, there's a Google form that you can find on all of my social media, anything that I mentioned office hours on, just go fill it out. And Ethan, our volunteer coordinator, will take care of that for you. Let me just text him. Ethan, let's let someone in if he hears me. Yeah? I'm using my second monitor today. But yeah, the campaign's been going great. We have just been planning for August, which is petitioning month. So we're going to be getting signatures. If you want to be a part of that, you can join our volunteer Discord at discord.gg/cat for Illinois. We need both remote and local volunteers, and we've got a lot of very fun stuff planned for August. So come on in. And Ethan, I see that you're texting in the waiting room. Let one in. But yeah, it's been a great time, and we're just waiting for our second guest, or I guess first guest, unless I count as a guest. How's everyone doing? My silky smooth voice needs to be on all the radio ads. I mean, if you didn't hear, the Chicago Contrarian thinks that it is seductive, like a 1970s radio DJ. But yeah, we're just thriving. I'm working from home today until later tonight. And tomorrow I'm remote. And I guess I'm just yapping until Ethan gets here. What would I do after I win and serve 5 terms? Hang out with Heater, obviously. Okay, cool. We got a guest. Hi, Margaret. Can you hear me? We'll just keep you on, Margaret, until you can hear me or talk. Just drop the volunteer Discord link in the chat. Margaret, if you can hear me, just give me a hello. And I'm going to text Ethan to text you. Hey, Kat, since you can see the YouTube live chat, are you taking questions from folks outside of your district? Yes, but we will probably get to your question faster if you are on the Discord form or on the Google form that signs up for virtual office hours, which you can find on all my social media. Margaret, I'm going to take you off for a second so you can figure out your technical difficulties and talk to GS. Hey, how's it going?
Hi, Gia. Hi, Kat. How are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm good. I'm so excited to be here. And I haven't done this before, so this is exciting.
Ooh, we love it first.
I have just quick questions. I know that you're obviously in the run for obviously running for a district, which is I'm so happy for you. I'm so excited for this new chapter for you.
Thank you.
What do you plan to talk about when it comes to because we've seen what happened with ICE and people are expressing their freedom of speech, and especially when it comes to Palestine. What do you plan to do when it comes to calling to an end to the occupation and a way to kind of continue to call for peace in the Middle East?
Yeah, I mean, this is obviously a very personal issue for me. I am Palestinian. I've been very outspoken on this issue for years. First off, we need to make sure that our weapons, when we're giving them to any country, that we abide by the Leahy Amendment. If we are sending weapons, if we are using taxpayer dollars for those weapons, we need to ensure that they're abiding by U.S. laws. Furthermore, we need an end to the war, and that means consequences for war crimes. That means rebuilding Gaza. It's not enough to just end the violence, but also rebuilding Gaza and make sure that people still have their homes. When it comes to what is happening on the ground and whatever solution that is happening, I think it's really important that we're raising both Israeli and Palestinian voices. I think that there's this tendency for America to want to dictate everything, and I think that it's important to as someone very involved, or as a country that's very involved in this
Yeah.
conflict, to provide support to a path for peace. But also, it's really important to make sure that people that are living where they are able to dictate the conditions that they live under. No solution is a solution until everyone has equal rights, equal freedom of movement, and an equal opportunity to survive.
Absolutely. I'm so happy that you said that because I've been kind of unlearning and relearning everything because I took the Holocaust class when I was in college, and I think people are talking about this idea that Israel exists because after the Holocaust. I mean, we're not saying that it's still there. Obviously, the when I've been watching like films that are to help me educate myself, and I kind of realized the importance of kind of learning the the whole history of the Holocaust and everything that's been going on in history. I think that we have to keep continuing to raise everyone's voices when it comes to Palestinians, what's happening in Congo, and any in the global south, and especially when it comes to what happened in the Rwanda genocide or Armenia. And I think that for me, it kind of made me realize the importance of speaking out and kind of just like I was watching it on Instagram every time. I'm so sad that people are losing their homes, and I know that there's still hostages still in Gaza, and I know that there's Palestinians who are being held in Israeli detentions, and it makes me so sad that we're still living. And people think this started October 7th. This has been going on for years and years, and I'm just so devastated that um, I really just hope that people realize why we were calling for a ceasefire and why we're calling for an end to the occupation. It's because of these things. People are taking land, and that's what I've also learned in the American Revolution. That um, there's even Native Americans who just want their homes, or even like British colonized, and colonization is still happening, not just in America, but also in the Middle East, and any country who's going through that, and it makes
Yeah,
me
absolutely. And I think especially in this conflict, a lot of people that are not Palestinian or Israeli or Jewish, have a lot to say about how we should feel about this. And the fact of the matter is that our lives are intertwined, and the vast majority of us just want peace, like everyone else, to live a life where children can be safe, where people can raise their family and find joy and not just survive but thrive. And that means, advocating for each other and advocating for ourselves. And I think it's really important, bringing up the hostages, because the like hostages need to come home. I remember the DNC sitting outside when it
Mhm.
was declared that a Palestinian American speaker wouldn't be allowed to speak, and someone came and yelled, "Free the hostages!" And we were like, "Yeah, um, peace cannot happen under a right wing government that is
Absolutely.
committing war crimes."
Hmm.
And this hurts Israelis, it hurts Palestinians, and it hurts people across the world. And it's time for Americans to, specifically Congress, to catch up with that. Because if we really care about democracy and we really care about peace, then we can't be backing undemocratic leaders that have no
Yeah.
interest in it.
Yeah, and like you said, I mean, perfectly said because I'm so I'm just so every time when I'm speaking about this on social media, I get a few comments to say, "Oh, you are not educated. You're supporting terrorists." And I kind of think to myself, then why am I? Then what is the point of you commenting? And I just felt like, I mean, for me, I just reply with respect. I'm just saying that that's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is I want everyone to come home. That I will never support something that will continue to kill anyone, whether it's Hamas, whether it's the Israeli government, whether it's Hezbollah. And just what I really want is for people to be safe, and
Yeah.
I want people to be free. And I know, and I think I'm sure you get comments about this too, like comments
I've
like,
been called slurs I've never heard before. And like one thing that really sticks out to me is just how much the right has tried to weaponize our pain for their own gain. and anti-Semitic conspiracy theories, the things that I studied and worked against in my job,
Absolutely.
inspire mass shootings. They inspire extremism, and it's just it's a lot. So thank you for coming on. Thank you for talking about this, and keep up the good work. Drop by an event sometime.
All right, I would love to. And next time I do a virtual event like this, I would love to drop in anytime.
Awesome. Yeah. Really nice to meet you.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me.
Bye. Before we go on, I'm just going to post elsewhere that we're live if anyone would like to join. I'm trying not to get my elbow in the chicken tikka masala leftovers that are on my desk. And I think I'm doing a pretty good job with it right now. Alrighty. Thank you to everyone who's been waiting in the waiting room. I will be with you in just a moment. All right, Margaret, take two. How's it going?
Hi, I'm fine. How are you?
Great. How are you?
Good.
Wait, I just asked that. But again.
So I have a number of questions. And the first thing I'd like to say is I'm very excited to be here and nervous. But I would love to get involved with your campaign somehow. And I saw that you've done some volunteering for park cleanup. I think that's really a great way to be out in the community and showing that Democrats care and do the right thing. And so my first question is, how can I get involved in your campaign?
So you were just talking to our volunteer coordinator, Ethan. If you're familiar with Discord, the way that I like to describe it, or as our Discord admin likes to describe it, kind of Slack for gamers. It can be kind of intimidating at first, but it's a really great way to organize. So joining our volunteer Discord is the best way to find out about events and volunteer opportunities. We've got 2 park cleanups this week, 1 beach cleanup, 1 park cleanup, and you can find those at catfreeillinois.com/events. And then we've got a lot of fun stuff planned for August. You can always, sign up for our volunteer list online, but the Discord is the best way to access all of that.
Okay. And I was listening to the other speaker, and something you just mentioned toward the end about the hateful comments that you've received. I mean, I think there's a huge problem with our social media and our online world, where there's a lot of bots out there spreading hate and trying to create this sense that there's an overwhelming support for this despicable regime. And I lived in a red state for 2 decades. I'm from Rogers Park, but I lived in a red state, and so I lived under right to work policies, which were very terrible. And I saw sort of the bots and trolls coming on in the system for a long time, and people would listen to Fox News. And and I think you've been a spokesperson on Fox News, which you can also speak to. But I guess I would say don't take all hate personally. But when I've looked at Jan Schakowsky's page, I've seen that the bots and trolls are starting to target her. And it's just such hateful rhetoric. And I make a point of pointing out every time somebody's a bot and blocking them. And so in my small way, I'm like an online keyboard warrior. But can you talk about media and how you've used media to get your message across and combat that?
Yeah, absolutely. So a spokesperson against Fox News would probably be how I'd say it, but I was working at Media Matters watching Fox News, specifically Tucker Carlson and The Five was my beat for 4 years. And I learned, or I realized in like 2023, that most people get their information from video rather than from text. I am not one of those people, but I wanted to reach a wider audience. And so I started making video explainers about the far right, about conspiracy theories and narratives and why your uncle won't get on a plane if the pilot's black. This was before the DEI thing really blew up at the federal level. And I've learned, the best way to use media is authenticity and not trying to manufacture that, but just being honest, talking like a real person, not putting every message through like 5 consultants to make it as bland as possible. And what you said is a really good reminder that oftentimes there are actors that are not that are not like people. They're accounts that are meant to push a specific narrative, or in some cases with AI being trained on other things. So you'll see someone post something and then another account posting something almost identical underneath it. And if you're thinking of it from the perspective of a person, you're like, why would you say that? That's doesn't add anything to the conversation. But it's just because it's AI. And I think that there's this temptation, especially with so much news now, to be plugged in all of the time. And I think it's really easy to fall into like this spirally doom scrolly rabbit hole. And so what I've told people especially is, if even like when it's my job to know the news all the time, setting aside specific times or time of day where you just catch up on things and then live your life the rest of those times is a much healthier way to engage in this media ecosystem.
Oh, so true. I need to follow that advice.
It's hard, but when you get the hang of it, it's really nice.
Uh-huh. So, sorry, I have a lot of questions,
No,
but
please hit me in the
I
next
grew
one.
up, I grew up in Rogers Park, and so I've worked in East Rogers Park, did a lot of transportation in East Rogers Park, lived in West Rogers Park, and I know how extremely diverse our community is. And so I'm wondering, on the one hand, are you working with Jan Schakowsky, and are you also working with the alder women in East and West Rogers Park and any other people in your district who are important leaders?
Yeah. So, as for Representative Schakowsky, for those who don't know, the current incumbent, she is not seeking reelection. I believe she's staying like neutral in this race. But I've met her and thanked her for her awesome work. I told her my grandmother, who was a big Republican, did not like her. That is an endorsement of Representative Schakowsky's character. As for local officials, also, hi, Jean, I see you in the chat. As for local officials, we've reached out to, or currently, if we don't have their contact information yet, we have gotten through most of the list. I would say there are over 800 elected officials in the district, and we're trying to have a one-on-one with every single one of them. My alderwoman is Maria Haddon. I had an issue with a stalker and went down to the office just to be like, what resources could I find? Chicago is really special in its local government because there are so many incredible people that like want to make a difference right now, that want to cut red tape on the things that matter and support the community where they need. But yeah, the local aspect is really important to me.
Oops. I may have been cut off.
Can you hear me? I can hear you, Margaret.
Okay. Your voice got cut off, but I guess you can hear me. I don't remember if you addressed, but can you speak to the diversity in our community and how to straddle that?
This is a really special district, and especially Rogers Park, which is where our campaign office is and where my apartment is. Our campaign office, by the way, is 7016 North Clark Street. Anyone drop by when we're open, it's on Clark and Lunt. It's a very diverse community. One thing that I'm especially concerned about are ICE raids. We have kept an eye out for anything that's even close by the office, and have vowed if we know about it, we will be there. I think that anyone with any sort of leverage in their name, position of power, whatever, should be physically putting themselves between ICE officers and the people that they are terrorizing. This district is like 27% people born in foreign countries. It has about 50,000 college students, tens of thousands of transplants. It's an incredibly diverse district. And it's important to remember that. We're trying to make sure that as we go along in the campaign, making sure that our campaign literature and website are translated into as many languages as possible, making sure that we have interpreters and literature at events and, at tabling, so that way we can converse with anyone, and also supporting people, particularly when it comes to ICE. When the new school year starts, Northwestern got about $800 million in funding cut by the Trump administration. And I have talked to many students and faculty that are terrified of being deported. So we are going to have business card size flyers with Know Your Rights, so students can just keep them in their pocket if they need, and disperse them around campuses.
Okay. I know there are other people on the line, so I don't want to hog all the time, but I will definitely be coming to your office and meeting.
Amazing. We would love that. Thanks,
Thank
Margaret. You were great
Thank
on the
you.
stream. Nice job.
Thank you.
All right, Everett.
Hi.
Hi, how you
Uh,
doing?
I'm doing great. How are you?
Doing pretty good.
Yeah. So I had some questions about sort of like the budget and like financial aspects of this.
Okay.
Um, is there like a specific place or resource you're getting all your information from? Because I was talking to my friends about this and trying to get them like engaged in it, and they had a lot of questions about like how the 2% wealth tax, like how many people that impacts and like how much revenue it brings in, and like sort of
Yeah.
just how everything's being funded.
Yeah.
And I want to be able to be more secure in like my knowledge of all the statistics and stuff behind this.
Yeah, for sure. So, with the way that we currently tax money, things like paper profits and wealth are taxed at a much lower rate, if at all, until like someone sells, an asset than labor, which means that people like Jeff Bezos don't have to lift a finger and would still make more just in their investments, and pay less in taxes than the average worker. So, what I want to advocate for is first off, a cost of living exemption in taxes, which means that people making under a certain amount, and by under a certain amount, like a ridiculous amount of money. I believe the number is 100 million, in terms of wealth taxes. But for cost of living exemptions, anyone that makes under the cost of living would actually have to not pay anything in taxes. And then for people like I'm pretty sure everyone on this stream, that amount would also not be taxed in your taxes every year. I am currently on a payment plan for the IRS because I could not afford to pay all of my taxes in one go this year. And it's ludicrous that some of the richest people in our country are paying nothing or practically nothing. But also taxing income the same with carve outs for small businesses and people making under a certain amount. But once you get into the double digit, triple digit millions, we need to be taxing wealth at a different rate, at a higher rate, and also adding an additional tax to income and making sure that your investments, your interests are being taxed as the same as labor, if not more, because it's insane that your work during your shift isn't valued as much by the federal government or is taxed more than the investments or assets that are being hoarded by some of the richest in our society. And that would provide a hell of a lot of money for the government, but also would ensure people like Elon Musk would be paying their fair share while also not being able to use their assets in a way to abuse our democracy, to consolidate power. Also, the big things on my platform, housing, groceries, and healthcare, actually make financial sense when implemented. Universal healthcare costs us less than our current system. We spend so much money in bureaucratic bullshit for insurance companies, price gouging by pharmaceutical companies, and having universal healthcare would actually cost us less than our system. We would have a surplus compared to our current healthcare budget. As far as groceries, having protections against price gouging and ensuring that small businesses are incentivized to exist and not just taken over by monopolies, saves the American people money and ensures that we're not just being taken advantage of. So line keep going up. We saw this after COVID. Corporations and companies that are responsible for the vast majority of our food consistently have higher profits year over year over year, and they keep increasing. And that's for shareholder value. I did a whole thing a couple years ago about Walgreens shutting down a bunch of stores because of retail theft. And the actual number for retail theft was infinitesimally smaller than the actual amount of retail theft. In fact, the biggest amount of theft in retail is wage theft. But they had to close these stores so they could increase shareholder value. And that just means that a little bit of their money goes to, or a lot of their money goes to a small, tiny number of people. They shouldn't be allowed to do that, at least without scrutiny. And then finally, with housing, people thrive when they have a home. This is something we see time and time again. And we not only need to be building more housing, but we need to have federal incentives to make sure that that money is encouraged to go into the local economy, hiring small state and local businesses, ensuring that the people that are working on these projects are the ones that are benefiting from them and are benefiting their community, and not just the same 5 big companies. So overall, housing, groceries, and healthcare I don't even consider it progressive. I think this should be the center of people first politics. It makes more financial sense. And on top of that, taxing wealth and alternate forms of income at the same rate as, labor means that we would have a much better functioning economy.
Yeah. Okay. And also for like the universal healthcare programs and other programs, are you gonna release or make like publicly available like the specific exact plan for that at some point on the campaign trail? I know that this is still like really early into it.
Yeah, there are a lot of different ideas for this, but we're definitely going to be expanding our current healthcare platform. Ours is
Okay.
pretty comprehensive. Especially want to stress there have been a lot of rural hospital closures, both for shareholder profit and especially after Roe, because a lot of hospitals don't want to risk, paying the price or going to jail for providing healthcare to pregnant people. And so, really making sure that the federal government is also investing in rural hospitals and also the possible doctor shortage that's going to come up, especially as graduate programs for law school and medical school are more expensive with the latest budget bill. Making sure that we are providing education for doctors and incentivizing them to go to those hospitals.
Yeah. Uh, that was all the questions I had. Thank you so much. I
Cool.
really hope you win.
Thank you. Nice talking with you.
Yeah. Have a good day.
Bye. Hi, Phoenix.
Hi, Kat. How you doing today?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing well. So I actually have a list here of questions of like
Amazing.
6. So my first question is, with ICE officers, as we've seen on the news, ICE officers are disregarding the law, and
Yeah.
and I'm curious about, like you said earlier, people should be standing up against ICE officers, but a lot of people are scared to. So I'm just curious on your thoughts on that. And like you said, you're giving little cards with people's rights on them to people. But what happens if ICE officers simply disregard people's rights?
Yeah, it's a great question because they do this. And I was on, I think, it was MSNBC last month where we were talking about this, and someone was saying, well, what if it was during the first round of the LA protests, and saying, well, what if, this is just an excuse for Trump to escalate? And I was like, escalate what? Where do we escalate from here? They're shooting civilians with rubber bullets, just people walking home. They're taking kids from schools. Like, it's really hard to imagine where the escalation could go. I think it's on us, especially people with more privilege, whether that's, how you look, who you are, how much money you have, or what platform you have, to make sure that we're standing for our communities. We've seen time and time again that fascists are weak, that they are scared when you stand up. I mean, how many videos have we seen of ICE in a neighborhood getting chased out by neighbors just saying, no, fuck off? It's one of these things that works better when all of us can be courageous together. And I get that that's really hard. And I am not asking people to put their lives or their loved ones' lives on the line. But at the same time, it's not going to stop here. This isn't where it stops. It's going to keep going. And it's on us to make sure that we are not only standing up for our communities, but standing up for ourselves. I encourage everyone to go to the ACLU's website, make sure that you know your rights, know your neighbor's rights. Consider going out and firing, especially in flyering. I'm not sure if I said that correctly. My mouth is dry. Especially in neighborhoods that have high immigrant populations. This is really important, and it's not going to stop with undocumented people. It hasn't stopped with undocumented people. We've seen citizens being arrested just because they're brown, being brought to God knows where. This will get worse, and it's on us to try to slow it down as much as possible. As scary as that is, I know it's scary. But there are times for standing by and there are times for courage, and this is a time for courage.
Yeah, I completely agree. What do you think on the power of the people? So, as the people, we all have a collective power, right? We are more powerful than the government,
Mhm.
but we can only do that if we stand together.
Right.
So, but right now, it doesn't seem like people are that well together right now. So how do we get people to stand together?
A big part of this is meeting people's material needs. In my own work, combating extremism, I see time and time again that people are scared when their material needs aren't met. And that's part of why the Republican Party doesn't want you to have housing, why they don't want you to have affordable groceries, why they don't want you to have healthcare. Keep people stressed, keep people afraid of each other, keep their eyes away from you. And so mutual aid right now is more important than ever. That's one of the big tenets of my campaign, is using our resources for good right now. Trying to meet people where they are. We have a take what you need policy for the mutual aid shelves in our office, because people need to live. And so supporting your community, it doesn't have to be putting your body in front of an ICE agent. It can be making sure that your neighbors are fed. Giving what you can and taking what you need is extremely important right now. Also, in-person communication, in-person community is more important than ever. I think that's one of the most long-lasting effects of COVID, is that we're more isolated than even before. A lot of people find their community on the internet, and that is absolutely a part of real life. This is not, like the early or mid 2000s or even early 2010s. The internet is a part of real life, but also real life is a part of real life. So I think trying to focus on the people around you, trying to be places, trying to be with others, it makes everyone stronger. It makes my life better, but it also makes you stronger, and it makes you realize that you're not alone. And I know those sound kind of corny, like mutual aid and being in person, but it is extremely important right now. It is so easy to fall down rabbit holes of extremism and of misinformation online. It is a lot harder to go out and support each other, to stand with people, whether it's protesting, whether it's just like, I started a women's club at my apartment last year, and it was one of the most fulfilling things I've done. And it's because we just sat around, did crafts, embroidered together, talked in a way that was real, in real time, and we didn't feel as alone. I'm just yapping at this point, but I think those are the two most important things everyone can do right now.
Very true. Here's something else. I'm confused on the like just in general with people's opinions on the Israel and Palestine thing. Like you said, both sides, the people are suffering on both sides. But I see that Republicans are supporting Israel and Democrats are supporting Palestine, or at least the people or government, in depending on the person. But my opinion on it really is both governments have done bad things. Both governments have done, you know, things that are incredibly bad for people. And my opinion is neutral. And I really just feel for the people of both countries.
Yeah, I mean, I think about the Israeli hostages that are still in Gaza, but I also think about the tens of thousands of civilians that have been killed in Gaza. And it's one of these things where there hasn't been an election in Gaza since 2007. Netanyahu's government is far right authoritarianism, plain and simple. And it's important to center civilians and people and those on the ground that will be hurt the most, more than it is a flag.
Okay. Here's something else that I'm very concerned about
Mhm.
is with your campaign, I really, really want you to win. Okay. Like
Mhm.
you are,
Wait, sorry,
yeah,
I'm just gonna hop in the chat here. Don't go both sides on this, Cat. I am literally Palestinian. It is not both sides to say that our lives are intertwined and understand that people are hurting It is not both sides to recognize the humanitarian disaster in Gaza, while also recognizing that there are hostages that need to come home, and that there are hostages in Israel that need to come home to Palestinians. Like, that's not both sidesing. Jewish people have consistently been the greatest allies in the fight for Palestinian rights. Our lives are inextricable, and I don't think that empathy is both sidesing it. You know, my grandparents were expelled in the Nakba, and if someone came to me and said you could have your grandfather's hotel back, but you would displace like 400 people from their homes, I would say no, because there is a point where trauma begets trauma begets trauma. And I am more concerned with getting peace and bringing both Israeli and Palestinian hostages home, rebuilding Gaza, and ensuring that there are equal rights for all and freedom of movement before all else. Sorry, please continue, Phoenix.
Yeah, no, it's perfectly fine. So my concern is how long till the election for Senate, because that is almost a year from now, and a big part of my concern is a lot of bad. Trump can do a lot of bad things between
Yeah.
now and then. So how do we stop that? Because that is probably one of the scariest bits about this is we can't do anything for at least as far as how our government is concerned for another year.
Yeah. I mean, in terms of legislation, probably not. Certainly not with progressive legislation. But I think it's on Democratic politicians right now to stand up. I think that the way that they have been responding is less than ideal. I mean, like I said in my launch video, you need to grow a fucking spine. The bully pulpit still matters. Talking to people still matters. Communicating effectively isn't about getting clicks and likes and a bunch of views and being like, wow, I'm so viral. It's about making sure that people hear your message. And right now, a lot of Democrats are not effective messengers. It's important to let constituents know they're not alone, to not normalize this, because every fascist regime thrives when the opposition just doesn't stand up. That's why it's unfortunately on a lot of us to support each other with all that shit that I said before. I ask people, I've had some people being like, I'm on a fixed income, but I want to donate. I tell them, don't donate, just like do something nice for your neighbor. And I mean that. Voting is important, but also supporting each other, because God knows the government won't do it. And I wish that every Democrat opened their coffers to help people right now. I think that there is no more convincing an empathetic thing you can do than saying, hey, you lost your job, let's find you another one. You lost your healthcare, then we'll fund your local clinic. You can't afford groceries, we are stocking your food banks, because God knows how much money goes into politics. Might as well use it for a good reason. Someone asked, is it time to start to worry yet? Yeah. But also don't panic. It's so shitty that we can't depend on our leaders in many cases. But that means that it's on us. Part of why I ran is because I got sick of waiting around for someone to do something. And I decided to do things myself and to run a campaign that I wanted to see. And that's what I'm doing. And that's what we can all do, whether it's running for office, whether it's volunteering at an animal shelter or a food bank, or just talking to your next door neighbor. I know it's scary, but do it. It's really important right now.
Yeah, the the Democratic Party right now is very much acting like politicians, simply going for re-election, and the Republican Party has very much just lost their minds.
Yeah, I mean, like, look, as a congresswoman, I'm not going to focus on re-election. I'm going to do my job, And if I do a good enough job, then I'll get reelected. If I don't, that's democracy. And I think that we should try it out, maybe.
So, do you worry about the Trump administration coming after you? Because you have most certainly grown a name for yourself, and
Uh,
and part of my concern is, will the Trump administration attempt to suppress your voice and potentially put you in as a political prisoner?
yeah, that's always a fun thing to think about. I mean, I've been deposed by Elon Musk. I before Trump won, one of the people on his short list for AG was talking about throwing me into a gulag. And the same for a lot of my colleagues, a lot of reporters, and especially disinformation reporters. And that's just kind of the world we live in now. Luckily, Chicago is a place where people know their rights. It's the only place where Trump had to cancel a rally because he got scared of protesters. Try it, see what happens. But for real, right now, we're focused on our mission, on helping people right now, on reaching people, and trying our best to run a campaign that is ethical. I know that sounds kind of like an oxymoron, but we're trying.
All right. Last question. So as far as economy is concerned, I do very much agree with what you said in one video of I don't know how much money is too much, but $1 billion is definitely too much.
Yeah.
My personal opinion, I'm not an economist, but my personal opinion is, the way the tax system should be set up is that people shouldn't be allowed to get above a certain amount of money. So that whether that be 10 million, 100 million, whatever. But taxes shouldn't be applied to people putting things back into their business. So like the popular YouTuber Mr. Beast, a big part of his thing is giving back to people, but he is incredibly wealthy. So taxing that would be hurting people, but he is putting the money back into his business. So what's your opinion on that?
As an economic policy, I'm not sure. I will say on the Mr. Beast front, I think that if the world could be sustained by billionaires' charity, then we wouldn't be in this mess. We are seen as tax write-offs, not as people to help. And a lot of times to politicians, we are seen as votes, not as individuals with our own lives and loves and traumas. And so, yeah, I mean, I think that I'm glad that he's done good things. I don't think anyone should be a billionaire.
Fair enough. All right, Kat. Well, thank you. And I'm nowhere close to where you live, but know that you are getting support from people over on the East Coast, and I even bought one of your bumper stickers for my car. So
hell yeah!
I greatly appreciate your the work that you're doing.
Thanks so much for coming on stream.
Yep.
All right, so we got I think that was the last person signed up for virtual office hours, or at least the ones in the waiting room. So Ethan, if you're listening, I'm going to bring you on. Hold on. Hi, Ethan. This is our volunteer coordinator, Ethan.
What's up, chat? How we doing?
Are you in a dream?
Tuesday. It's just this weird blurring effect that StreamYard I was playing around with. I don't know. Their blurring effect is weird.
This is our volunteer coordinator. He does a lot of cool stuff. Ethan, go off.
Hello, everybody. I'm just going to plug the Discord to start off with. If you're not in our Discord, what are you doing? It's the single source of truth for everything in this campaign, communications, volunteer, opportunities, or if you just want to yap and make friends, we got like 2,500 friends for you to make in there. So discord.gg/cat for Illinois. That's KATFORILLINOIS. So yeah, Cat's spamming it in the chat. Later this week, if you're local, we're cleaning up Montrose Beach on Thursday morning at 10 a.m. Oh, and now I'm the only person here. I'm the only person on the stream. It's just me. I think Kat clicked the wrong button, or she's just letting me cook. And then Friday, we got a park cleanup at Rogers Park, Rogers Phillip Park, not just the whole neighborhood in general, going on at noon. and we always post about these in our Discord. So make sure you join that. Welcome back, Kat.
And at
have-
capforillinois.com/events. I wanted to eat some food. I was really hungry, but I didn't
Hell
know I was
yeah.
doing, like,
I have 2 more questions for you from a volunteer whose connection was poor. If you want to answer them, how does that sound?
would love it.
Okay, number 1 is, how do you think Democrats could have messaged better against the big, beautiful bill?
I liked the murder bill. The one that's what they were planning on calling it originally. And the Democratic leadership was like, don't call it the murder bill. It's too much. I think that having existing infrastructure ahead of time for communication and ensuring that people are informed in their districts is really, really, really important. Of course, that means actually doing things ahead of time, but that could have helped a lot with effective messaging. Furthermore, having votes and people in Congress that are, there would have been helpful. And also making sure that pressure is put on Republicans. I think that there are very few Democrats that are equipped to go on Fox News, but the ones that are should be on there frequently to point out exactly the effects that this bill will have. It's not just about it being bad. Reaching out to voters and saying, this is like, you, the person making under X amount of money, will lose your Medicaid, is really important, because when you make it in these vague terms, it just doesn't resonate with people. It's fucking awful, and it's gonna harm almost every American. It is harming almost every American.
Well put. Well put. Moving on to the other question, is that you mentioned that George Washington University gave you the exposure necessary to move towards progressive politics, but what exactly was the tipping point that caused you to doubt your previous worldview?
It wasn't necessarily GW, which was where I went to college, that gave me that area. It was in high school. I was living in Tucson, Arizona, and I had friends that were much smarter than I was, like much more talented, that just couldn't afford to go to college, even with like a full ride, because there are so many extra costs associated, or they had to help take care of their families and all this other stuff. And it got into like my Reagan Republican brain. I was like, oh, maybe Ronald Reagan wasn't right about everything. And that's why one of the most effective ways to combat misinformation and extremism is just exposure to the reality of those ideas. Like, the most effective way to combat transphobia is just meeting a trans person. I've had people say this about me, where they're like, I didn't know Palestinians could be like you. And it's like, yeah, they can have a dye job too. We'll address that part later, but you're on the right track. This is one of these things where you just kind of need that one puncture. And I had that puncture. And then at that point, like right after that, Trump was coming on the scene. He announced his primary run, and I was not interested in that. Neither were my parents. I was 17, so I couldn't vote, but I did do voter registration drives and canvass for Hillary Clinton. My parents voted for her. And so by the time I was at GW, I was already like very interested in progressive politics.
Good answer.
Thank you.
It.
Are you just saying that because I employ you?
Oh, yeah. Kat threatens me all the time behind y'all's backs. I'm just playing. Don't clip that. A few comments to respond to in the chat, because, if they're talking to me, I'm going to talk back. Shout out to Oblivious for the compliment on my necklace. I got this for $20. So, yeah, you shop affordably. You can still look fly, everybody. Also, someone asked me if I was a White Sox fan. I would say that, hot take, I support the White Sox more than the Cubs, but that's just because tickets are so cheap. You can go to a White Sox game, stand front row, and get a foot-long hot dog that is going to be more expensive than your ticket, and have a dandy old time. Although the White Sox are in need of some massive changes, and I've been pushing Kat to add some of those to her platform, but I think we're going to stay away from the White Sox and Cubs for this cycle.
That's so real, as a broke person being like, I like this team more because they pay you more money. They cost less to go to. I got Ben Bulls tickets for Christmas, and this was so expensive. It was so expensive. I was like,
It was because they
This
were
is
playing the
before-
Lakers, though, right?
It's because they were playing the Lakers, but originally he was a Mavs fan, and then the Luka trade, he was like, "No, I'm a Lakers fan," and I was like, "Cool, cool, 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 cool." That definitely doesn't impact my wallet. But yeah,
What are your thoughts on LeBron James, Kat, while we're on the subject of the Lakers?
good at basketball.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Very, very neutral. I like it. No LeBron haters are gonna come for you after this stream, hopefully.
I've gotten more into basketball since dating Ben, and I really like the WNBA because everyone's dating each other, and it adds like a little bit of fun to there, and also
Yeah.
women's sports rock. But they with like basketball stuff, Ben's just fun because he likes to look at like every player. He's just like such a nerd about it. So I like talking about the technical things, and it's very interesting.
And shout out Angel Reese, the Chicago Sky. She's been turning up her game lately. We love Angel Reese. She gets a lot of hate online, but she is the reason that Chicago WNBA is on the map right now. And yeah,
Angel,
all
come
I
on
got.
stream.
yeah, Angel, come on, Cat's stream. We can talk about how to get better at rebounding.
I know a lot about that for sure. I'm also 5 feet tall. We got 9 minutes to go because if we're going to do office hours, we're staying the whole time. So, Ethan, how's it going?
I'm doing well, Kat. We are relaxing right now at the office. It's just Sam and I. Sam has his head down, doing a lot of work. I actually just turned around and he's gone. So
Wow.
who knows where he's at. We are looking forward to next weekend. If you guys are local in the area, we will be having a booth at the Evanston Pride Picnic, which is next Saturday from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. It's going to be a fun time, good vibes. You know, I don't know why Evanston does this a whole month after Pride Month is over, but hey,
Pride
for
Month
me,
is
Pride
forever.
Month is every month. Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Wow, that's so woke. You're such an ally.
You hardwired it into my brain.
Ethan was so homophobic before working on this campaign.
Whoa there. I am also looking forward to the taco crawl that is going on right next to the office on Thursday. If you guys haven't been to the area in Rogers Park, our office is at 7016 North Clark Street, if you're wondering. There are literally like probably 25 to 30 taco spots in like a 1 mile circle radius. So Thursday they're doing a taco crawl. There's 2 different routes you can get. You just Google like Clark Street taco crawl. Oh, there go balloons.
Balloons
I don't
for
know how that
tacos.
happened.
It's the best place to have a campaign office because just on our block we have 2 taco spots, a tamale spot, and pupusas, and then also Honey Bear. But yeah, come to the taco crawl. I'm gonna be sitting outside, and you can ask me anything there too.
Heck yeah. CLH Henry, Ethan, is this true? I don't know what you're referring to, my friend.
I think that you're so homophobic.
Oh, no. I have a picture with Charlie XCX. Should I pull it up? That's my get out of jail card in this situation.
Oh my God, Ethan.
I back when I went to school at University of Georgia. Go Dogs.
Wow, you went to school.
There was this friend that I made, and he was like a giant Charlie XCX fan. And we decided we were going to go to the Crash Tour, which was in, I believe, 2022. Before Brad, before Charlie became mainstream, but she was a well-known pop star. Thought bro was about to say Charlie Kirk. Heavens no.
Also,
Heavens
this person
no.
that asks, what committees would you like to serve on in Congress? I have a full list on my Ballotpedia, so go check that out.
Period. So anyways, we're going to like see Charlie XCX, and we're waiting in line. We get there at noon. The concert's at 8. So we're like, he's a hardcore fan. I'm like, I want to support my guy. And I also like Charlie at the time. Wasn't like crazy about her, but I was like, I like her music, And then there's these people who like come into line. They're like, we think we might have just seen her on the street. And my inquisitive mind was like, well, that means that I should go try and track her down. And my friends were laughing at me. They're like, we're just going to sit here and stay here. You go do whatever. So anyways, I walk 5 minutes across the street and I see her in a coffee shop. So I got to meet her, take a picture. I come back to the line and everybody just hates me for the rest of the day because I'm a straight guy. I'm a straight guy. I'm the only guy in line who got to meet Charlie XCX and get a picture. And I just so happened to be straight, which honestly, I accepted the hateful glances that I got the rest of the night, the whispers I would see because
They could have come with you. They didn't have faith.
Yeah, they could have.
They didn't have faith.
I have
I,
that
uh,
picture with Charlie forever now. I'll hang on to it.
I went to see Charlie with a friend last August, and this was after the DNC, after I was sleeping on the concrete with people when they wouldn't allow a Palestinian American speaker. And so we were like, there you go, buddy.
Boom.
That's my
Boom.
volunteer coordinator, everyone. So I went to go see Charlie, and we got to the United Center, and my chest tightened, and I was like, oh my God, do I have United Center trauma? And then we ended up sitting in the exact same section I covered the DNC from, which is fun. But yeah, we got 4.5 minutes left, Ethan. What else you want to talk about?
Let's talk about the hot dog toppings bar at Wrigley Field that you need to check out. Did you know that you can bring in a hot dog from outside of the stadium? Literally, they let you bring in some sorts of, I don't know if it's every type of food, but I saw a TikTok the other day that was like, we brought a Costco hot dog into Wrigley Field, and they have a whole toppings bar with like pickles, tomatoes, onions, everything to make that proper Chicago style hot dog. And you can just load it up. So next time we go to a Cubs game, because I feel like we got to do a campaign outing to a Cubs game.
Oh, for
Imagine
sure.
Kat throwing.
And we're going to be doing a campaign outing to AEW.
Oh yeah, that
yeah.
too.
Also,
that too.
My friend bought the tickets. Not to out myself as a broke bitch, but yeah. But yeah, no, AEW. So excited for the residency. It's going to be so much fun. It's going to be a blast. We get to see Hangman, heavyweight champ.
No catch-up. SHK, you are so right. No catch-up.
So true.
Literally, the other week, I had a Costco hot dog for the first time in a while, and I put some ketchup on it because their mustard and their relish dispensers were out, and it was a rush, so I didn't want to bother the poor workers who are already getting flocked. So I put on some ketchup, and I literally, halfway through the hot dog, I had to stop, and I had to throw it out. I was like, this does not hit my taste buds right. I don't know if it's just Chicago ingraining the mustard love into my blood or me just being sick of so many Costco dogs over the years, but something happened. There's just a visceral reaction when I see, when I taste, and when I smell ketchup nowadays on a hot dog. It's not right. And I encourage everybody to make the switch over to mustard and relish because it is far superior.
True. Very true. I'm trying to think of any controversial opinions I have about toppings. I like eating fries with A1 steak sauce.
Oh, don't get me started on your A1 steak sauce.
We have like 18 bottles of hot sauce in the office and a bottle of A1.
Oh, yeah. If you guys ever come by the office and you want to taste,
Are you going to talk about fucking DaBomb?
Yeah, I'm going to talk about DaBomb. If you guys have seen Hot Ones, you know what DaBomb is. And it is one of the hottest hot sauces you'll have the pleasure of trying. If you come to the office and you're feeling daring, I encourage you to try a drop, but also don't get mad at me when you are burning inside and out after just trying one drop, because that thing is no joke. But it's an experience, you know, and I feel like some things in life you need to experience, whether they're going to be painful, joyful, happy, sad. That's life.
I agree with this. Wait, someone said something. My favorite hot sauce is just classic Cholula. I love a lot of hot sauces. I think that Cholula is the best all-around hot sauce when it comes to flavor, texture, how overpowering it is, adding it to stuff. I just think it's really great, and I'm very proud of it. But also other types of Cholula, and also other types of hot sauce. I love like salsa macha, like MACHA from Mexico. It's really hot and it's so good. And Cholula is cost effective, as someone said.
And just responding quickly to Stonian, Kat will not be doing the one chip challenge. As someone who has done the one chip challenge, I thought I was going to die. And I'm pretty sure someone died in the past year doing that. It's this like, they get this tortilla chip. It was a mass produced thing until they like banned it recently because someone died. Just covered in powder and extract of the world's hottest peppers.
I want to do that.
Oh my. Kat said it. Kat said it, not me. So don't blame me when she's crying on the floor.
I want to do that. I just when I actually my Indian food order, which is what I've been eating when my mic went off, I asked them to make it so hot that I cry, and I don't cry, but it's really good. All right, we got 50 seconds.
Blue. Calm down, Blue. We got Blue in the chat trying to throw some allegations my way when this
Blue,
man
can you
has
pick me
lost
up
to me.
at like
He's lost to me in Mario
5?
Kart every single time we've played. I just want all the viewers to know that.
Blue, I'm asking you this on stream. Can you pick me up at like 5? You'll see us, I hope. A chip shaked brick of spice, not a real tortilla chip. That sounds awesome. I love that. I have nothing else to say. We have 16 seconds. I like to be thorough on these. Like sometimes we'll just be at a coffee shop and I'll just be like hanging out for extra time because I want to make sure that we cover everything. So thank you everyone for tuning in. You're all wonderful. And thank you to everyone who came in and asked questions. Check out our events page, catforillinois.com/events. Join our volunteer Discord, discord.gg/catforillinois. And the best way to support us right now is to donate your time and your money, which you can do at catforillinois.com because we're not taking any corporate money. And yeah, thank you so much. Do I get the hearts?
I don't know.
I don't
Maybe
get the
it's
hearts. Only you get the hearts. This
Bye,
is
y'all.
devastating. Bye, everyone.